Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset Episode 219. The show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we welcome back Dirt Fam admin Joe Mieden. As Iron Banner returns, we chat about upcoming super tweaks and a patch note preview, and finally, an Armor 2.0 analysis. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT, and here with me tonight, Joe Mieden. What's up, dude?
Hey, not much. It's great to be back. How you been doing?
How's it going? I've been great, man. I always love to have you back. One of these times it's going to have to be me, you, and Cyborg again, and you not filling in for one of us. But yeah, I'm excited to have you back. I always enjoy talking to you about Destiny. It's probably been, I don't know how many episodes. It doesn't feel like it's been that long, but it's probably been 20 plus at least, maybe.
Yeah, I think
since you were on last.
I think it was probably about that long. It's been a few months, but I was looking at the episode number when you sent me the document, and I was like, 219. I can't even count that high. How do we get 219 episodes in? That's insane.
219. It is crazy. Started in 2015. Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, I mean, most everyone probably at this point, I mean, we got a lot of new listeners coming around, especially as of late, but just in case, of course, some don't know who you are, but speaking of 219 and being around a long time, you are a Dirt Fam admin and what we call in the Discord a founder. You've been around basically since the beginning. So 219, yeah, it probably is pretty shocking for you as well.
It is. I've been around since the first one, and it's been a wonderful time ever since. So yeah, for those that don't know me, my name is Joe, and I like to play Destiny, and I am infamous or famous, however you'd like to say it, for being fairly positive on the game often, and really, really enjoying all the different aspects of it. And I just like to play Destiny, and been doing it since beta of D1, and even during the times when many people kind of fell off for a lot of very understandable reasons, I continue to enjoy the game, and continue to enjoy it now, even though I don't have as much time to play, since I have a little light that was born this last December. Has really changed my my approach to the game, but still get a chance to play every now and then, and it's always great to hang out with Arrow and all the other guys from Derp. So I'm now back to Xbox, and gladly taking advantage of that cross save feature that I'm so glad they added.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. I was gonna say you give us a little intro like you did there, but yeah, you've been around a long time. If you're in the Discord, you obviously see Joe around with the yellow name, the exotic name. Like I said, been around since the beginning, but glad to have you back today, man. I think last time you were on, we talked about how the way you play the game has changed, because you were also known for having 20 alts, with no exaggeration, probably at least 10 alts when you played Destiny, and now you're down to that single character, and just enjoying it that way, playing maybe a little through the content a little less quickly.
Yeah, to put it mildly, it was really weird this year with Shadowkeep coming out, that I was watching videos of people discovering things and figuring out the systems, and typically, like, as I was seeing these videos pop into my feed, I was kind of on the front lines working on that stuff as well. And like, oh, they posted how to find this secret. I've been wondering what that was, you know? And for a while, like, looking at those, I was like, it's almost like we're not playing the same game anymore. Like, just like you said, I mean, I think I had 5 accounts with 3 characters on each, that were leveled on some level, but most of them had beaten the story and were moving towards endgame. So this has been a very different season of the game for me, and it's still fun. It's just different. And I think they've moved the game to incline itself a lot more towards the dedicated player. It seems like there's a lot more in the game for that kind of player, which I think is wonderful. And I've got so much to do. So
I play similar to you as of recently, probably a little bit more, but just a few nights a week, a few hour sessions, and somehow they're balancing it. Like I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I don't feel like I can't keep up, but I do have those moments where I'm like, wow, I have a lot to do right now, and I don't know if one season is enough time to do it. But no, it's great to have you back. You guys are probably wondering, Cyborg, he had a nice family trip this weekend, and he asked if we could, if Joe and/or a guardian could fill in for him, and I thought, who better than to have Joe back on? I always love having you back on to chat. Again, the three of us gotta chat at some point. It's been a while since we've all three been on the show together, but Cyborg will be back next week, so be back to normal form next week, kind of mix it up on you guys the last few weeks. But anyways, it's great to have you back. I think I already mentioned that, and I think we're gonna jump right into some news.
Sounds great.
Yeah, not any announcements. We've been teasing a giveaway again here before too long, but coming right off Shadowkeeping stuff, we do have some blue giveaways and stuff like that we'll be doing here soon, so keep your ears open for that. But with that said, we of course will jump into some news right into the TWAB this week at Bungie. We're back to getting what I call the meaty TWABs. It's interesting. The smallest TWAB that we get is on release, which makes sense because we got all the info before, and then we start getting info after. But on release, they don't need to tell us much because we're in the game.
Yep, it's true.
Way more than we usually are in the game, but we're all usually just diving into all the new content, so they can get away with those thin TWABs on release week.
Well, they don't really want to talk anymore. They just are like, please
give them a week break.
Yeah, enjoy. Just go play the game. Why are you reading this? Just go play it. We made it for you. We've been talking about go do it right now.
Well, plus these days, the TWABs these days, the long ones are probably the equivalent of 4 or 5 TWABs way back in the day.
Yeah, they're meaty. I kept scrolling past, and I kept finding new sections, and I was like, when is this going to end?
Yeah, one of the first things I do now is take a look at the little scrolling toolbar when I pull it up on Thursdays, and I'm like, yep, it's another one of those. Mm-hmm. It works though. Hey, it works.
It's great. I love it. I think it's awesome. It's helpful, especially I was telling you, I think I play once a week maybe at this point, but I try to read the TWAB every week, and that kind of keeps me knowing kind of generally
once you're
what's happening.
Tuned into the game, you stay tuned in even if you're playing or not.
Yeah, and it's nice that I like the way they're presenting it. It kind of keeps you connected even if you don't have the time to really play a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we hear that about the show too, which is always nice to hear. Guardians, depending on how busy they are and things like that, if they don't have time to play, they still listen to the show and keep up to date. So it's always nice to hear that we can do that for people. Yeah, man. So they lead this one off, of course, saying we're already 3 weeks into Season of the Undying, which seems kind of crazy. We'll talk about it in Reset, but of course they mentioned Iron Banner is up and running. Master Nightmare Hunts began this reset as well. I haven't jumped into those yet, but we'll talk about that more, I'm sure. And then they give us a little tease. They say that's not all. The exotic quest for Leviathan's Breath will also go live for all Season Pass owners. Rumor has it that Banshee knows something about where to start. So we'll get that coming up here next week. So anyways, that's exciting. And I get confused here. I'm reading some of this. Some of this is this reset. Some of it's next reset. There's always plenty going on.
Yeah. Did you see the in-game tooltip that popped up this week about that? Because I like that they're doing that because it kind of lets you know what's coming. I misread it at first, and I was like, wait a minute, we're going to Banshee's secret treasure room. That sounds fantastic.
I know.
So I went to the tower, and I'm like, where is this treasure room? I don't see it anywhere. And I was like, oh, that's next week. So
Yeah, next week. And I like I was just saying, some of it's this reset, some of it's next, getting myself confused too. But there's always so much going on. I do love those tooltips. And then I think I saw something in my feeds this week at some point that usually this happens when there's a new zone either hinted at or added in a patch. But I think some Guardians figured out a way to get into whatever this place is.
Always. That's how it works, man. That's the Destiny way.
Quite open yet.
Glitch yourself in.
They do go on to say we got a Bungie bounty, and actually, as we're talking, it's already over. It's Saturday, October 19th, but we always like to mention these. This actually featured I thought this was funny, and we already knew this, I'm pretty sure, but I think I just forgot. They say the infamous hunter known as Paul the Big Show Witz, or White. I'm not sure how to say his last name. I just know him as the Big Show. Yeah. Hunter. I knew this already, but like I said, I think I forgot. It just really seems like the Big Show would be a Titan. I'm sure this has been talked about. That's what I would have thought too.
Before. I mean, he's so big that's kind of the Titans thing.
Yeah, I guess
I was
you don't
surprised
assume,
as
right?
well. I didn't know he was a hunter.
Yep,
he seems very unhunter-like. That's just my own personal idea.
Well, I know I saw like a image of him, like a WWE like advertisement or something with him and another wrestler on it. He's so massive, dude. It's crazy.
Well, he is. Did you see the thing when it was D2 was coming out and they gave him the Cold Heart replica? Did you see that? I'm still jealous about that. I did not. No. So they gave him this Cold Heart replica, and like when Deej was holding it, it looked like massive. It was huge, and they gave it to him, and it looked like a little squirt gun.
I don't remember.
He's like,
"Oh,
thanks,
that.
guys."
I'm sure it did.
You got to look it up.
Made it a little bigger.
It's funny. Like it's legitimately like when Deej is holding it, it looks huge, and when he's holding it, it just looks tiny. It's just little.
That's good. I will have to look that up because I don't remember it. Surely I saw it. But anyways, this is cool, though. They're doing a Bungie bounty. They did a Bungie bounty with the Big Show. And I like how they're sprinkling into this. This was a mix of PvE and PvP content. They did some strikes, Vex Offensive, and then finished up with the Crucible. And so it's cool. Like if you match up against them in the Crucible and you're on the winning team, or I guess on their team and you win, you get the emblem. And then in PvE, if you matched with them, is how they're doing that. And actually, they did Xbox last time, so they did PS4 on this Bungie bounty. And like I said, it was today, so you've already missed it, but at least you know about it if you didn't already. So I always like that they do these. It's cool. I think about this. We got some other stuff kind of coming up here in the TWAB, some art and stuff we'll talk about. But I think it's really cool they put this kind of stuff out in the TWAB and, of course, in the community. You don't have to do this. It's a Saturday. Like they're doing these Bungie bounties on a Saturday, and it's just neat that they take the time and go into the office and do that,
Yeah, and I think that kind of stuff it goes a long way. And hopefully one of you listening were a part of that, and you're gonna get a sweet emblem in the mail. Yeah, but I think it's good that they do that. I always feel like on some level, I'm all the way on the other side of the country, so I never feel like I really have a great shot of matching up against them. But I've tried a few times, and I think it's just good to bring the community together, even if you don't end up getting matched with them. It's just kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I tried one time too. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this on the show, and then I realized a couple games in I was on the wrong console. I got confused and thought they were actually on PS4 at the time, but yeah, that was a thing.
Well, they usually are, or at least they usually were, and now that they don't,
they're trying to mix it up now.
Yeah, well, now that they don't have the Activision Sony deal, I think that they have a little bit more latitude to sprinkle in the other consoles.
For sure, yeah, for sure. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. But it's always good. I do hope at some point, speaking of community things that Bungie does, I always love the community focuses. So like to see those as often as possible. But anyways, that was the Bungie bounty. Moving on, we got some tweaks coming up here. They say the title is Shifting Sands. They got a few tweaks coming to the Combat Sandbox in update 2.6.1, which is currently targeted to deploy on October 29th, which is, that's
next week. This next Tuesday.
week and a half.
From when you're hearing this, it'll be next Tuesday.
Yeah, it'll be a weekish from when you're hearing this, which is cool, man. I mean, we talked last week. They've been doing some server-side stuff on the spot. Actually, so we don't forget, very possibly could have forgotten this, a Guardian figured out that Telesto is absolutely broken this week, apparently. I don't know the details, but apparently you could shoot it and immediately have your super. I'm not sure the details. It's just the info that I know. So I'm pretty sure I saw a Bungie tweet at some point today said they were disabling it for now.
Yeah.
But man, they're getting quick on that. They did, the matchmaking thing we talked about last week, server side. They did the heavy ammo stuff. And now we're talking about a pretty decent patch. Granted, a couple things are going to be nerfed, but I think rightfully so. But this, they're pushing some stuff out pretty quick.
Well, they are. And you mentioned the Telesto thing. Like, we're recording this on Saturday, and I logged in and played for a little bit this morning, and I used Telesto. I had no idea the exploit existed, but I used it for a while, and then logged off for a while, did some family stuff, logged back on, tried to equip Telesto, and I couldn't. Yep. So, I mean,
that quick.
Went and looked it up, and I think it's good that they're using this ability to disable specific weapons for the integrity of the game and for the integrity of some of these things, like when they disabled, what was it, Yotun and a couple other guns for the raid race. So I think it's cool they can do this, and it's good that they're using that, and I don't think they're abusing it. They're just making sure that they maintain the integrity of the game without having to push out a big patch.
That's what's important. I mean, it stinks to have to disable it. That stinks from a player standpoint, but I would much rather that for a short period of time, hopefully a short period of time, than it to completely break the game and to create a bad experience for a lot more Guardians, versus just keeping it in place. Sometimes it's fun, like what happened with Prometheus Lens, but when it comes to instantly getting your super and Iron Banner being live and things like that, it's probably best just to disable it until it can be fixed. But with that said, this patch is all about tweaking a couple of supers, ones that the community's been talking about for a little while. So the heading here is super energy refunding kills. Their goals, like they always mention, they say for a while now, trample and everlasting flames. So trample for the striker, Code of the Juggernaut, and Dawnblade Attunement of Flame, basically say have been an outlier, especially in PvP. We've previously done a pass to add diminishing returns to this, but it's proven to not be enough. In this update, we've tightened the curve a bit and spit it out over PvE and PvP. This should allow Guardians to keep dunking on combatants for longer while being less oppressive against one another. And then they say, additionally, for the striker, we've increased the cost of the light attack to make dashing across the map a little less forgiving. Of course, we're talking about bottom tree striker, that one. I am a Titan, but I do understand that one's a little absurd. Has been for a little while. They go on to say, we still want this to be used as a way to run people down or dodge and be shifty, but this change should make it costly enough as to prohibit it as a form of long distance travel. Finally, regeneration will no longer proc on melee kills, while in super, the combination, was too strong and overly forgiving of strategic or positional mistakes. So, Joe, do you want to, there's just a couple sections here, do you want to break down what exactly they're changing on these two subclasses?
Absolutely. So, for the Code of the Juggernaut Striker, this is the bottom path, trample is going to be tuned, and the amount of super energy returned per kill is what they're changing. So they say they're reducing the amount returned possible per kill from 15% down to 13% before the diminishing returns kick in, then reducing the low end of the diminishing returns from 5% to 3.25%, then change the kills for the diminishing returns by splitting them out between players and combatants. Previously it was 15 kills, now it's 14 combatant kills or 7 player kills. Players count towards 2x towards diminishing returns. So basically, you're killing players and it's ramping up that curve faster, twice as fast if you're killing players. That way you can still keep, it hasn't really changed much for combatants because it went from 15 to 14, but it went from 15 to 7 in terms of how fast it curves up for players. And then the cost of the light attack and super has been increased by 50% from 2% of your super to 3%. Then regeneration on your kill no longer procs on super kills. So that is the Striker bottom tree Juggernaut, and then for the Dawnblade, the Attunement of Flame, the bottom path there as well. The Everlasting Flames perk is being tuned, and they're going to tune the amount of super energy returned per kill, handled differently than Striker, as this attack is an AoE. It increased to the low end of the diminishing returns from 0.75 to 0.95, changing the kills for the diminishing returns by splitting them out between players and combatants, same thing as before. Previously it was 30 kills, now it's 21 combatants or 7 player kills, so it goes up by 3 times in terms of making that curve happen so that you're not in your super forever. So those are the big fixes when it comes to those supers and keeping them from being oppressive and forever in PvP. You don't have that Striker Titan that literally, I know I've been killed by one and then respawned and killed by the exact same guy.
That's what I was going to say.
His still same super. So it's like they're trying to get rid of that.
That's almost exactly what I was going to say. It's always a bit frustrating when you die by a super, and then even if you let the timer go and you're forced to respawn, and then he's already made it back into your new spawn and killed you again.
And the Dawnblade's the same thing. That I've had that happen to me too, where a Dawnblade killed me right as they pop their super. And then I wait out the timer, just like you said. I respawn, and then here he comes around the corner, flying like a maniac because he's a Dawnblade, and then just sword of fire in my face, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I've now died twice to the same dude. And then he goes off trying to kill other teammates and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the key words here, or the big ones, are the combatant kills versus the player kills. That's going to make a difference. And then the regeneration on kill no longer procs on super kills. So, hopefully, it seems as though, we talked about this new sandbox and how it was going to feel when Shadowkeep launched. But so far, for as much changed, I mean, I thought we were going to feel weaker than we do. I was worried it was going to be closer to D2 than it was where we were with Forsaken, but it feels pretty darn good right now. And I'm confident in these, even though when I read these, I'm like, wow, it may be too much. I think I have confidence that it'll be fine. I main a Titan, so I understand these more than I do the Dawnblade. What are you maining now on your character?
I'm playing a Hunter. I only have one character. So I'm playing a Hunter. I don't know how I decided on that because I don't even like Hunters that much. But I mean, I like them all.
That works.
So no, I'm playing a Hunter. Well, that's what I'm playing.
Well, you Warlocks out there have to let us know. Tweet at us or email us at Destiny Reset to let us know about those Warlock changes. I'll tell you what, man. When I get to the point where I'm playing alts, I always love playing my Warlock on some PvE content. It's just always a blast. And I usually take my Hunter into the Crucible. It's Titan up till my first max power level, and then I'll Hunter it in the Crucible and usually Warlock it in PvE as well. But you guys will have to let us know, you Warlocks, how you feel about those changes. Coming, they said, like we mentioned, as of right now, targeted for October 29th. There are a few more things they mentioned. We got some quality of life and bug fixes. Sentinel, Code of the Protector, which is the top path. The Ward of Dawn. Armor of Light Timer now correlates with the life of the Ward of Dawn. And then particle effects move more rapidly towards the end of the Ward of Dawn's life. So that'll be some nice UI stuff, and just overall functionality that'll help smooth out that top path on the Sentinel, which I've been using in Sentinel in PvP and really enjoying it. I'm getting used to those suppressor grenades. I haven't used that subclass in a while in the Crucible. It's been a good time though. So another one, Night Stalker, Way of the Wraith, middle path. Shattering Strike fixed a bug in which the Shattering Strike activation window was reduced to 3 seconds along with True Sight, and then Shattering Strike lasts the proper 9 seconds once again. And then this is a big one here. The community, as they do, like we've already mentioned on a couple things, found something real quick since Shadowkeep launched. The Shoulder Charge. We've removed a bug that allowed players to shoot immediately before activating Shoulder Charge, which allowed players to apply a 1-2 punch damage buff to Shoulder Charge. This bug was caused by a quality of life change made for Tempest Strike. Before Shadowkeep, if players had the sprint button configured as hold to sprint, then they would need to be holding the sprint button while sliding in order to activate Tempest Strike. With the release of Shadowkeep, we added a small window of time where players could activate the Tempest Strike after letting go of the sprint button. This change had unexpected effects on other melee abilities, so we have reverted this change until we can find a better fix for the Tempest Strike. That one was an interesting one. I saw that popping up on my YouTube feeds pretty quick. You could do some unbelievable damage with the Titan and the shoulder charge, and I believe it involved the Peregrine Greaves as well, like some ogre one shoulder charge destruction.
I'm sure that the Hive were complaining about it on Hive Reddit, so Bungie went to nerfing that. So
yep. Rightfully so. Again, I mean, stuff like that. I mean, that's just not exactly the experiences that is intended. But it's always fun when they come about, just to see how long they last. They do say we're also aware of feedback about other abilities and gear not mentioned above. We have our eye on One-Eyed Mask. Expect to change in a future update. So they're hinting to the old One-Eyed Mask. And then we get some patch note previews here. Joe, give you some chatter time. I don't know if you don't mind reading through these. This first bullet point is amazing.
It is. We've been waiting for this for a long time. So Forsaken subclasses will display the correct super icon in the PvP HUD for the following subclasses: Thunder Crash, Burning Maul, Blade Barrage, Spectral Blades, Nova Warp, Well of Radiance, and Chaos Reach. So if you're playing
Bungie,
if you're playing in comp, or if you're playing in somebody's playlist where you want to see what the other players are doing without having to individually inspect the players, you now will have the correct updated new super icons, so you can see, are they on Golden Gun or no, they're on Blade Barrage.
I don't think they've ever, maybe I missed it, maybe I'm forgetting it, if they've said why this was the case, because I mean the art was always there.
Yeah, because on your HUD it shows a different icon when you have the new one, but it doesn't display for the other players. There's probably some bug there's probably a bug that was like deeply encoded or something. I don't know. I'm just glad they're fixing it.
That's so fantastic. Glad. I mean, we were even, Dixie and Merlin and I were chatting about it, driving back from the Dirt Fam meetup. And we specifically mentioned this again. I mean, we've talked about it before, but it's like, you typically, what's strong in the current meta, so you probably know what they're running without looking at it. But then before you know it, you get surprised by some random subclass you haven't seen in a while. Or you get that, for example, the Titan, the Iron Man Titan, and it's like, didn't think that they were going to have that. So yes, this is a huge one for me. I'm super pumped about this, but anyway, sorry, move on.
So next one, they fixed a bug where warlocks who wagered weak motes in the Reckoning were incorrectly being rewarded Titan gear. So evidently the 9, not so good at deducing what class you are and giving you Titan gear instead. So they fixed that. Fixed a bug that increased loading times for gear preview while in spaceflight. Thank you. Players should notice their character models update more quickly while changing gear, previewing ornaments, or previewing shaders during spaceflight once again. Thank you.
Yeah, they've talked about this a few different times, so it's interesting to see these in here as just a couple quick bullet points, but those are big. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. I will say that that's one thing that it is kind of annoying when you get a cool thing you want to look at, or you're in spaceflight so often in the game, especially if you're playing on console, and looking through those different menus and putting shaders on. I've stopped putting shaders on in spaceflight now. Yeah. Which is
the other thing that happens too,
you want to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's obviously not addressed in this one, but the other thing that happens to me is when I'm playing Crucible, it's probably a little quicker on PC maybe, but I will try to switch an energy weapon, and my menu won't load fast enough for me to switch it to have ammo before I spawn the next time.
Correct. I have the same thing. Thank you.
I can't imagine what all they're dealing with on the back end, but we actually get a little bit of a hint of it here shortly when we talk about something else with Armor 2.0, which is pretty telling, and kind of what's going on behind the scenes with some of this UI and memory and interface and stuff. But anyways,
I'll keep moving here. Phantasmal Core stack cap raised from 3 to 999, which sounds about right. Specifically for Steam. Blocking communication with players in Steam will now block and mute those players in Destiny 2, which is good for people you don't want to communicate you. They can't backdoor that way.
I feel like that's something that happens probably with every game that migrates to Steam, and they're like, oh yeah, we forgot to do that.
Yeah. They added functionality for add friend and remove friend commands. Add friend player name, remove friend player name, and then players must be in one of your rosters in order to add or remove them as a friend. They added functionality for the invite command. You just do invite player name with a backslash. Players must be in one of your rosters in order to invite them. Then you can invite them based on Steam ID, and that's regardless of whether they're in your roster or not. So they added those commands, and then they can now invite and join another player regardless of their Steam Online status. Whether it's online, invisible, or offline, you can now invite regardless of that. And then help description updated to reflect new changes to these commands. So if you're on Steam, make sure you take a look at that list. Those are probably very, very helpful changes for you.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And be sure to take a look at those in the TWAB. So those are the changes that we have to the patch notes, and should be some good changes, nice quality of life stuff coming up, as well as we were talking about before we went live. They're doing some stuff in the game that are just little things changing over time, like that portal that's being built outside of Ikora's thing.
Right, yeah, part of the season story.
I didn't know that was happening, and I went to go turn something into her earlier today, and I was like, what is this scaffolding doing here?
Yeah.
I walked out and I'm like asking the dude there, what are you doing? What are you building? And I go back to talk to Ikora, and I'm like, you're actually building a gate. Like, what's going on here? Like, I think it's really cool they're doing this and changing the space up to kind of fit with the theme of the season. I just think that's awesome. And I was just shocked because I didn't know that it was happening. I haven't really been paying attention, and it was cool to see.
Yeah, no, dude, that's a really cool thing. I think we mentioned that last week, but I keep forgetting to look at it when I go to Ikora. But I knew it was happening, and it's cool because they're having to update that kind of throughout the season, and it seems as though no confirmation, but just some stuff I've watched from my feed and just some other content creators that I watch as well too. Like, it seems as though that's kind of going to possibly be like leading to the end of the season and then introducing the next season, kind of what they've been saying they want to do with the seasons this year. So we'll see what happens with that. That's really cool thing.
Yeah, definitely. After that, in the 12, we've got a really cool art update.
Oh yeah.
So they give us some of the beautiful art. I tell you what, like, Bungie is absolutely second to none in terms of their art design team. I mean, these guys and girls are just, wow, incredible artists, and it's wonderful to see their work in the game, and it's cool to look through their art stations and some of these different things they've been working on to create what what we see and what we get to enjoy. So it's definitely cool. Encourage you to check that out if you like the art as much as I do, and I'm sure Arrow does. Be sure to check out those art stations and take a look at some of the things that these incredibly talented artists have been putting together.
Yeah, that's what I love about it is they give the artist name below it and they link it to their ArtStation account, and you can see all kinds of stuff they've been doing. It's just so easy to skim past environments and stuff. And while we all probably appreciate it at different times, we're like on a mission doing something and we kind of just run past it, and it's always worth it to just stop and look around. I mean, I actually even posted a video on Twitter tonight. My son and I noticed a ship just chilling in the tower, and they're not always kind of chilling there at the main spot. And we just kind of walked up to it and it just backed up and spun around and flew off into space, and just kind of took that moment in for a minute. It was cool, me and him watching that. And there's so much stuff like that. And even looking at the weapons on here, there's so much detail in the weapons. I think one of these is Wendigo, and it's like, I got that, and I'm thrilled I got it, and I'll probably use it more, but it makes me want to just stop and look at it longer, right? So much work was put into just that one weapon. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, really, if you think about it. It's a lot of passionate people making some cool stuff. So they even show us who did some of the finishers and stuff, which is cool. Show us some of the animation and stuff like that. So that's always neat as well.
Yeah, I think my favorite like art moment from Shadowkeep so far and from the season is the storm that gets created in the sky over the moon when the Vex start landing. Mm-hmm. Yep. The first time that happened was like the raid race was going on and I was playing and I was just doing random crap on the moon, and I went into my menu for something and I was like going to get a snack or something, and I came back and I left my menu, and literally I think I'd gotten shot or something, so my cursor was pointed straight at the sky, and all I could see was the giant lightning storm where the Vex was coming from, and I was just like, what the heck is happening? Like, and I just couldn't believe it, because I wasn't expecting it, and the visual style that they do is just so stunning. Mm-hmm. So these artists, these guys and gals, like, incredible work. And definitely check out those art stations if you're so inclined. And once again, you can click on their name and see all the stuff they've been working on, and just such incredible talent on that staff.
I 100% agree. Next up, we get kind of a surprising section already. This is normal form for Bungie for a long time now. With Destiny just being upfront and telling us about, their thoughts on different systems and what's going on behind the scenes, why they landed on this or that. And we're already getting some discussion about Armor 2.0, as they call it. They say one of the new systems rolled out along with Shadowkeep is the new Armor 2.0 system. We have been monitoring the feedback around the system. Today, the Destiny dev team has got some goals for Armor 2.0 and some upcoming changes that are coming. I'm at the point, you and I kind of talked about this. I'm just getting to the point where I'm kind of, it's not that I didn't understand it, but it's like until you get your hands on the systems in the game, like I wasn't sure what armor to look for, what stats were good, what kind of builds I want, and I haven't even gotten to the point yet where I'm working on a build. I'm like, I think I'm 936, so I'm still just trying to get at least a 950 before I start. I am keeping stuff that I think is good, but I'm still not certain that it's good.
Absolutely.
Right? There's a lot more layers to it than before, which is a good thing. But it's a lot to figure out early on in a fall release in a new season. But obviously they're getting plenty of feedback from players who are beyond us and figuring out many things. So they go on to say, basically, it's all about Armor 2.0. You'll learn quick. It's about the energy affinities and stuff like that, the armor affinities. But they say the most frequent questions and feedback come from the energy affinity system, which determines which mods can be socketed into which armor piece. This is and was the most confusing to me as far as why. They say we wanted to kick this discussion off with a little bit more information on the reasons why the energy system came about and what it's intended to accomplish. The armor energy system has three following primary goals. Basically, give the players freedom to experiment with builds while also requiring players to make creative choices when putting together those builds. They say the biggest reason why mods became unlocks instead of consumables is to encourage players to experiment with perk combinations. The energy type and cost of a mod asks players to consider which mods they value most for a particular build, sometimes requiring them to make a choice or come up with creative combinations of armor energies across all 5 equipped armor pieces. The other is, the second goal is give players the ability to balance mods above and beyond pure effectiveness. When mods have no restrictions on their use, each mod is only evaluated on its strength and usefulness. Giving mods an energy cost gives us a knob to turn that gives weaker mods value and stronger mods a drawback. We don't have to read all this, but that kind of gives you an idea of the second goal. And overall, you'll see what they were thinking, with 2.0 and the affinity system. They do say this third one is what I was hinting at earlier when we were talking about the menus and the loading and such like that. I love this transparency too. They say also third goal, relieve information overload pressure on the mod UI. Early playtests, which did not have the energy system, had all mods for a particular slot visible each time you moved your cursor over them. This resulted in a huge amount of information overload and also made it hard to quickly find and change out mods that you were seeking. Cutting down the number of mods visible for a particular armor piece makes it easier to process the information. So that one's interesting because they had to make a choice there because of, memory overload and the game just not being able to handle it in its current state. That was one of my first things, was like, wow, I can't just pick whatever mod on whatever piece of armor and we get a behind the scenes, curtain drawn back reason why here. And I found it pretty interesting, especially I love that they're communicating that with us. I don't know, Joe, what did you think about this, at least up to this point when you read about this?
Yeah, as I was reading, it was funny because I forgot that there were certain mods only available in certain energy types, and then I went back to the game while I was reading through it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess they're not all available." But right. I really like the armor system. I'm just like you said, I'm just scratching the surface. I did my first, I think it's called a hero level nightmare hunt.
Nightmare hunt, yeah.
Yeah, and I loaded into it at first. And I was like, this should be fine. And then immediately ran into a, overload or whatever, enemy that just kicked the crap out of me for a little while. I was like, I need to go back and figure this out. So I went back to the mod screen and started putting together just some cursory builds. Right. Not anything really, not even a build really technically, just what can I put some mods in that'll at least help me to be effective and not die instantly? And that process of just trying to weigh the pros and cons, weigh the energy types, those things was just really cool. And I don't really know what I'm doing, more than just kind of experimenting, but I really
that's
like
the whole
it.
point. Yeah. To be able to experiment, have all that stuff. I still am not sure about the energy affinities, like locking certain mods to certain energy types. I haven't been in depth in the system enough myself while still power leveling to decide if it's going to bug me or not bug me. We see it kind of behind the scenes why it's happening also. And I'm not probably just because of that, but it's an interesting thing because everything else seems like you have so much freedom. But even with that, like you said, you have that experience, and we're already seeing coming out of the community specific builds with different things, and it's definitely way better than before. And it's really nice to be able to, I still forget at times, it's so early on in Shadowkeep that you can swap those mods out now, and it's just, it costs materials. You're not using it, and it's gone.
It costs like nothing.
Right. Right.
One of the things though that's really cool that hits on what we've been talking about, because like I said, I just didn't even know, is that what will bring it into focus, I think, is what they're describing as the change. Is that what they're going to do is make all the mods available for the armor pieces, but the drain that it takes, I'm using Warframe terminology already, the amount of energy that it takes off of your armor will depend on the element. So, for instance, if you want, I don't know if this is one of them, but let's say hand cannon reloader, right? And it's well, that's just a void mod right now. What they're going to do is make it so well, maybe it'll cost 2 if it's on a void piece and 6 if it's on, that's I'm making up numbers, but basically the idea is that they will make it so that if you match the element that they designed it for, because they go through how they designed the different categories and why they put certain ones in certain categories and not in others. And so they said, we want to retain that, but give you the freedom to make the choice. If you really want to play that mod, it's just going to cost you. And I like that, because then once again, it goes back to you making decisions about, oh, well, I really want fusion rifle loader on this armor piece. So that means I need to get a void one to be able to maximize my efficiency, Right.
Yeah.
I like that change. And,
yeah, for sure.
I think that's a cool way to go about doing it. And they also said they're going to change the way stacking works so that you'll be able to stack them more readily, but the stacking will not provide as much of a benefit. So there'll be more opportunity for you to, if you really want a certain thing, you can stack it, but you're not going to get as much return on investment as you do currently.
Right.
So it's making it so you can make the choice.
Yeah, and they say like if you do 2 hand cannon loader mods, it would be basically the equivalent of running an enhanced.
It'll be a 1.5 instead of a 2. So like it's not going to be they're not going to stack like directly. So it's not just going to be. It's just going to give you it'll give you diminishing returns, but it'll still allow you to like stack the mods that you really, really want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, we'll see how it all fleshes out. I'm sure that they'll need to make improvements and they'll need to make it better. Once that comes out, people will find the flaws, but I think this is a good step. And I think that the base level of what they've set up from my like limited experience with it, I'm really positive about where it's at. And I think that the idea of adding these RPG systems and giving you the freedom to be able to like mess with them is really cool. And I ended up really enjoying that nightmare hunt. It was hard. Cause I was a little bit below the power level, like just 5 below, but I hadn't optimized at all. And when I went back and tried to build something, it made it a lot better. So I really liked where they're going with this. Yeah,
no, for sure. I think it's just cool they're already talking to us about it, like I mentioned already. Yeah, and it's they give us some cool stuff in here. There's a reason why they do everything they do. Even all the way down to at this point, there was a little bit of UI stuff going on with this. They even talk about in this, the ammo type, how they chose that, and the range and the thematics with where they had certain mods or certain things, and with ammo and such. And it's all very interesting. You summed up really well, like the 5 or 6 paragraphs that we got. It's hard not to, read this stuff directly to you guys because there's so much information here. We definitely recommend you guys go read the TWABs if you're not. We love to give you the news, but there's a lot of detail on this in every sentence. And Joe just summed it up really well. Is there anything in here, Joe, that you think, anything else you think we should share, or should we move on?
Let's just move on, man. I think we got it. I think we got the main things.
Armor 2.0 is one of those things where I've already said it, but I'm so focused on leveling, and I've been spending I'll talk about it in Reset, a lot of time in the Crucible. This is what I thought last season was going to be, this season has turned into my Crucible season. I'm still playing PvE, but I'm so focused with the way that I started into it to get my Crucible stuff done. I've got some things that I haven't finished up, and I'm anxious to get to the point, even on the Crucible side, of looking at these mods and these builds and things like that. But I'm not even. I've been so focused on the power grind and just getting that done. It's usually the way my brain works in the seasons that I haven't even really done what you said you did with the Nightmare Hunt. I guess I haven't ran into a wall yet because I've been trying to power level before I go into things. And I haven't been slotting anything for the most part. I've been saving everything and just waiting until I get to the point where I can start working on a build. And it's really just cool that Armor 2.0 is allowing that, right? That's a lot of depth we're getting really quick. That's really good for the game. It's good for the casual, if you will. I would say we're in the middle, and it's good for the hobbyist. Well, you could probably call us hobbyists, but you know what I mean, the streamers of the Destiny
people who
community.
are investing a lot of time in the game and want to see that investment rewarded. Like, I feel like it's totally there for that group.
Definitely.
And I think it's wonderful that that's a thing. So one thing I would tell you that I learned today was, it doesn't really cost you anything substantive to upgrade each armor piece.
I'm so used to it costing.
Energy.
I agree.
So I that's one of the things I figured out was I was like, well, how much does it actually cost? And I was like, oh, it costs like nothing. It costs like 1 legendary shard and like 500 glimmer to do each energy level. It was like, that's real cheap.
Right.
Once you get to 6, that's when it starts costing the
plus even slotting the mods
cores.
Like you said, doesn't
slotting
cost
the mods
much.
doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
So it's worth it, especially if you're gonna sit down with like for a PvP session or for like a nightmare hunt that's like close to your level, or probably for Nightfall. Like, it's probably worth it to sit down and like
just do that real quick. I mean, it's like
it
next to
long.
nothing glimmer.
And one of the nice things about not having, like, for me, I mean, I think people that have probably been playing longer probably have a lot more mods unlocked, but like, I don't have a lot of mods unlocked, so I don't even have a lot of choices. So it's like, I can just really quickly just slot it in and just go with it. And it gives you that slight advantage that can help you with whatever your play style is that you're doing for that moment. So it's
you
nice.
just reminded me too. I don't think you mentioned with everything else on here, it's impossible to remember everything. Did you say something about the collections? Because I think you were talking about the stacking of the mods. Did you mention the adding the mods to the collections? It was like 3 minutes ago, and I'm already blanking. We've been talking.
No,
about
I didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, so they're adding the mods with upcoming patch. They're planning to add the mods to the collection, so it'll be nice to see
really good.
what you don't have. You just made me think of that, and that's the last paragraph they have on here. So not that you forgot it. There's a good 7 or 8 paragraphs here of nothing but Armor 2.0 chatter.
No, that's an important point though. That'll allow you to start strategizing.
Yeah, figure out what you don't have. I've seen some videos out there too on some content creators that I follow that kind of show you quick ways to get mods that you don't have and stuff like that. Of course, check Banshee every day as well. He'll tell you if you have it or you don't. But
if he remembers, cool. He doesn't remember a lot.
If he remembers, yeah. So yeah, that's Armor 2.0 chatter from Bungie this week. Cool to see that already, and some tweaks coming here not too long from now. They do mention they kind of chatted about this before and/or done one before. Maybe this is the first. They just talked about it in a TWAB. It was Fashion Week, this last reset, and basically you get an emblem if when Bungie says it's Fashion Week, you can submit a picture of your best dressed Guardian on Bungie.net or in a reply to the Fashion Week tweet they'll throw out on Bungie's Twitter, and they choose their favorites and feature them in the next TWAB. Please include a link to your Bungie.net profile with your submission to help us out with granting your emblem. And they do say, I'm surprised this often, they say, since fashion is never finished, we will plan on doing this regularly, hopefully once a month. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's another great thing. I think it's good to see them engaging with the community where they can. I feel like there have been a lot of questions and unknowns about what this Bungie post Activision era was going to be like.
Right.
And I think they're doing a lot of really good things in terms of how they're engaging with the community, and this is just another one of those things.
Yeah, it is. I agree. It's cool to see. They're very transparent. They have been for a long time. I've said it many times. Obviously, their intentions were always good, but game's in an amazing place right now, and the relationship between the community and Bungie, seems like it appears to be in an excellent spot. So very cool stuff. All this stuff is always fun. We, of course, get Cyborg's favorite section. I don't know if it really is, but for whatever reason, I started saying it was a long time ago. It's the player support section.
It's important.
He always covers it so well. They did deploy a hotfix, which I have that in a different tab here. 2.6.0.4. They deployed, and it had some random stuff in it. Fixed an issue where the servitor spawning in the GoFan and Forge would crash the game. It's always random stuff that most of the time I didn't happen to me, thankfully, and I didn't even know was a thing. There's one fixed an issue where Nightmare Hunt's time trial Master Triumph would not progress correctly. The Ordeal, Nightfall of the Ordeal, when already completed, wasn't granting powerful rewards for players. Fixed an issue that provoked the temporary deactivation of rally banners in the entire game in the Sanctuary vendor space on the moon. So some interesting random stuff as usual. They do have some pretty important information for PC migration in here. I did see some Guardians here and there that had problems migrating their character. There's a lot of information here. We'll touch on it a little bit, but definitely go read the TWAB if you play on PC and you've had issues migrating your account and or characters. They say since the launch, we've been investigating players' reports regarding a subset of issues which may cause PC migration to fail for PC players importing their accounts from battle.net. While investigations are ongoing, they've deployed several fixes over the past 2 weeks, which are expected to resolve a number of these issues. They do say, aside from issues being investigated in the migration process, we've also observed reports from players who've linked the wrong Battle.net account or Steam accounts to their Bungie.net profile, resulting in migration either to or from an undesired account. They say players who linked and migrated from a different Battle.net account than desired can perform migration again. To do so, players must link their intended Battle.net account to a new Steam account through Bungie.net and perform a new migration. There's just a lot of stuff in here. There's a few more paragraphs on this. Just check it out if you had any problems migrating your character. It's cool to see them addressing this stuff, obviously, because that I'm sure is pretty frustrating if you're just trying to get in the game and play, move over to PC, move your account over. So, moving on, there are a few more known issues. Destiny player support monitors player reports, of course, and the Black Armory key mold cannot be obtained by players who did not receive it before Season 8. Players who have the invitation from the Emperor and Golden Hero quests on multiple characters can't unlock the Tribute Hall, and Warlocks, Wagering, Weak Motes, and Reckoning are receiving Titan armor. So those are some continued known issues. Did you check out either of these movies of the week? I actually have not yet. I meant to.
I didn't, but I'm definitely going to watch the Lord Shaxx interview. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm actually clicking through it right now. It looks pretty good. It's always funny. I always read the TWAB, and then I'm like, yeah, I love the movies of the week. I'll catch them, before we record the show, and then boom, before you know it, it's recording the show. I love the Star Troopers here. I saw that movie in the theaters, man, how many years ago? I've
never seen it. So
really, never seen it. It's an interesting one. Many would call it a classic at this point, but check those out. Guardians movies of the week, always fun. I was kind of just clicking through them there. Always entertaining. Cosmo ends with that he was going to play some Iron Banner, but always like to get the TWABs from Cosmo. That's it, man. That's a hefty scroll through a TWAB.
It's a thing.
Like it's week in and week out, except for launch week, like we said. We did have some more news this week. We got we always get these random articles here, and their GameSpot threw up an article. They interviewed Bungie design director Victoria Dolbaum. Not 100%. Sorry if I did not say that right. But it was at PAX Australia. There's a couple nuggets out of here that were interesting. She was talking a lot about how they are looking at the future of the game. Her job, basically, she says, she makes sure the team is on time and understands what they are building. Can you imagine like a movie? And this is so many different teams coordinating to make something cohesive and make sense for the most part. You could joke about Destiny's original story. There was a lot going on behind the scenes there. But I was just thinking today, that cutscene at the end of Destiny 2. We're now at, spoiler alert, I won't say it just in case. It's still kind of early. We're now at the thing that we saw in the Shadowkeep story that was the next thing at that ending sequence in Destiny 2. And for so much that's going on in this game and so much that's happened, so much they're working on, so much they're implementing, fixing, whatever you want to call it, it's been pretty cool to see this stuff pan out over the last couple years, right? I think it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. When I saw that thing that you're referring to, as I was playing through the Shadowkeep story, I was like, "Oh my goodness! Oh, we're doing it! It's happening!"
Yep.
Like it's exciting, and I think
it's cool
when you have a universe that you've kind of developed and pushed along. It means a lot more when these events finally occur.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's neat to see, and what's really exciting is they've been able to do that to some extent up to this point, what we're talking about. And it seems like they're structuring themselves to just double down on that. It's not only like the RPG elements of the game and this or that, but even the story aspect, how they're building up this year with the seasons and the story that's going to happen and how it's going to lead into the next year. It just seems like they're doubling down everywhere. And it's exciting, man. It's just like every year there's a reason to be excited. This year is no different. This is a really interesting interview. Again, it's at GameSpot.com. She talks just about her job and, keeping the team focused in, her particular area. There's a lot of interesting quotes here that she talks about. She says, since we're trying to move towards an evolving world, we want you to come into the present, not the past. You can go straight into playing with your friends right away, unlock some destination, be the correct level to already start playing with them and the content that they're in. So that kind of coincides with the breaking down the barriers and being able to play with your friends. She has another one in here that is very interesting, and it talks about, I'm pretty sure it came out of this one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the quote, but it talked about vendor refreshes, and that has always been one of my favorite things in the game. Yeah. Whether it's seasonal, my ultimate favorite was back in the day when we had a weekly reset role change at least, the Crucible weapons and maybe the Vanguard, right? And they say that that's just currently not a focal point for them, that they're more focused on systems, implementing RPG elements of the game, things like that. And I will say I'm a little bummed about that. While I'm okay with it taking a back seat, I understand we're getting a lot of cool things in the game right now. There's something really cool about having vendor reset each week and going to check out those weapons. It would work so well in the state of the game right now. And I'm no game developer. We said that how many times in this show, but it seems like maybe putting a little bit of attention on that and making that a thing, even if it's just one weapon that resets every week, the roll on that weapon for a season. To me, it just adds a lot of value to the game. And I get it, but I do hope we see that come back at some point. I don't know if that's something you miss or not, Joe. I just always enjoyed that.
I think I see it a little differently than you, but I understand where you're coming from. And I think that there's probably a lot of people out there that are like you, where they want that, roll every week kind of thing. Like for me, back in the day, they had one roll and then that would be the roll until the next DLC came out, right?
Right, yeah.
It's the really good hung jury, or there was a future war cult fusion rifle that was amazing. And I think that those fit well within the context of the factions, which are not being utilized at all right now. Mm-hmm. But even then, when they went to it being more frequent, I stopped checking it. So I think it's good that they're kind of picking their battles, and this was one that wasn't really a big deal to me, but mm-hmm. I think you're right that for a lot of people, it was something to look forward to every week. And hopefully they'll be able to capture that in some way, and it seems like the direction they're taking with some of the seasonal stuff is kind of doing that. Mm-hmm. So maybe there will be some opportunity for you to have some kind of weapon roll thing, because I think you're right that it does captivate the community to kind of come together.
I would watch.
Be like,
I would watch my
did
favorite.
You see this one? Yeah. This one roll. Yep. You gotta go buy it.
Make sure you log in this reset. I would, whatever my favorite content creator on YouTube would be at the time. Yeah. I would watch it on reset because I want to see what the roles are. And again, I lean to the PvP side of the game a lot of the time, and it's big on both sides of the game. But in the Crucible, you're always looking for that nicely rolled hand cannon or something of that nature. And man, I would check it out every week. I want to see what's on the palindrome. That's when it was, man, the palindrome days. So I definitely agree. They know what they need to work on and where their focal point needs to be, but I do hope we see some aspect of that, even on weekly reset. Seasonal even is a long time to me. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's cool. There's one more quote in here that was interesting. She said, "We have plans for Destiny as far as the stories we want to tell, whether that means it's a release like Shadowkeep or Destiny 3. We don't have specific plans for any of those things, but we know the story that we want to tell and we know where we need to go. We're just going to continue to deliver you guys content that is like Shadowkeep and the seasons following. What form that takes can change." So that was interesting. They've kind of hinted at Destiny 2 being around for a while. This is just probably a casual interview, so just nonchalantly mentioning Destiny 3 probably doesn't have a lot of weight to it, but it's cool to hear those kind of things and the plan that they have as far as the story goes and things of that nature. Like mentioned, there's so many different stories they could tell. Guardians always like the main story, of the darkness and things like that to be ever present throughout a season and or year. But it's just cool to get this take from one of the design directors. So check it out if you guys want. It's GameStop.com. Just Google search that and Destiny 2 PAX Australia and you'll probably find it. Very interesting read, of course. One other thing that came up in my feeds this week, apparently I wasn't involved at all, and I won't give it too much weight because I didn't come across it, so that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a big deal or hasn't been a big topic of conversation, but it seems like every time you're on the show, Joe, we talk about Eververse for a second.
Oh, good.
Apparently there was a
My
Reddit.
favorite part.
Right, I know. I'm pretty sure we talked about this last time because Eververse never really bothered me or you. Like, I got some aspects of it, when a lot of the ships and stuff were in Eververse and not in the game, this or that. But Eververse has never really bothered me. I don't spend a ton
today.
Yeah. I don't spend a ton of money at Eververse, but I do. And at this point, I like to support Bungie when I can. I think the price points are a little bit high right now, but at the same time, we're getting a lot of content for the the price we're paying for each season and stuff like that.
Real quick, did you see that the harpy shell?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my goodness, the thing is so good.
I know. There's some really cool stuff in there.
I got the Moonlander one too.
Yeah,
that one's for
it's
Bright Dust
cool stuff. I'm trying to save my Bright Dust right now. Well, see, and that's the conversation that's happened right now. Is there was a Reddit post, and sorry, I can't credit the user, but they basically drew attention to the fact that this season there seems to be a lot more things you can buy for silver versus Bright Dust, and it's not even so much that, but it's the fact that it's vague, and I think some have used the word misleading, but you probably could more confidently use just the word vague, and the fact that the store doesn't easily explain to you or tell you what will eventually be sold for Bright Dust. So you buy it with silver because you don't know if it's going to be available in a few resets for Bright Dust. And I totally get that. I think it should probably be more transparent in the fact that, like, okay, you have 30,000 Bright Dust, this maybe a little icon on them or something that shows like a Bright Dust. I don't know how you would do it, but it lets you know that at some point this thing will probably be sold for Bright Dust. And then if it's not going to ever be, then just have a silver icon on or something to let you know that, okay, if you want this thing, you're going to need to spend some real money on it. And again, I'm at a point now where, I think the price points are a little bit high on some things, but I'm all in on supporting Bungie. I mean, it's where we're at right now is just super fun, super content with it. But I do agree with this. I think it's not something to get like up in a roar about and think Bungie's trying to be shady or anything. I think they've proven enough at this point that they're not trying to be shady, but I think they definitely could be a little more detailed on that. So, I'm a Guardian that's sitting on 7,000 Bright Dust, and I teeter like below 1,000 fairly often because there's some really cool stuff in there a lot of times, some great designs on things. And I know like Cyborg and some Dirt fam that I play with, they have 20, 30, 40,000 Bright Dust. And I've never had more than 15, I don't think. So it is a decision for me. Like, if it's going to be sold for Bright Dust, I kind of like to save it for those things that I think may be. But anyways, what's your take on it, man? I don't know if you caught any of this. I actually didn't until today. I didn't see anything on this until today. So I don't know how big of a conversation it's been, but I figured it was worth touching on for a minute. And you were on the show, and we always talk about Eververse.
Yeah, we always do. And I always end up being on I'm going to make some people angry probably about this, but I don't think it's a big deal. And I think that, like, when I look at it, I'm somebody who, I don't have a lot of Bright Dust. I don't keep a stockpile. If I see something I kind of like, I just buy it with Bright Dust. And yes, I have noticed there is more stuff featured to buy with real money. Yes, I have noticed that it is not entirely clear if or when that stuff is going to be sold for Bright Dust. But I think, once again, it's all just a matter of your perspective of how valuable what you're getting in the game is and how important it is to have everything, or to have the one specific item that you want. And I think I've long given up the idea that I'm going to have all the things. Right. And maybe that's just because of the way that I'm approaching the game right now, but I'm glad to pay $6 or whatever it is for some little cosmetic trinket, especially for the amount of content that they're giving. Sure.
There's no question about that. Yeah.
Especially because the game went free to play. Like, I mean, I just don't think it's that big of a deal. And I understand, like you said, there's some people out there that have 100,000 Bright Dust that are sitting on it, and trying to, but I think that I don't share that mentality. And I think that in general, and this has always been kind of my bend, let's try to, I try to focus on being grateful for what they are giving, and then look at, well, do I want to support it or not? Do I want to put money in or not? And if I don't, like, I'm not entitled to everything, you know? Like I said, if you're mad at me right now, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings.
I agree with the points you're making.
But that's
because
kind of where I'm at. Like, you know, and I know Cyborg will be on next week, and he usually has a really good analysis of this and sees it from a different perspective. And so he'll be able to give you, I think, a really good take on it that's well thought out. But that's just my
I mean, you're making good report.
Yeah.
Well, as far as, sorry, finish your thought. I didn't mean to interrupt there.
I was just saying, it's just, I think that people get too worked up about these small little things, and they miss the forest for the trees, you know? And that's just, I think that it's just too easy to get fixated on this stuff. And you look at, like, it could be so much worse, and it's just not, you know?
Yeah.
No, I just don't think it's an issue.
The Eververse thing, you and I have always been on the same page with Eververse. You know, it was interesting there for a little bit, but not in a regard of like it broke the game or anything. Eververse has never really bothered me that much. You make some good points as far as like, I'm at the same place too. I don't feel like, you know, I'm okay with not getting everything. We've said that on the show this time, many times. I mean, that we got to get to a point, you know, it's okay if we don't get everything. I think this particular thing though is just really, it's not Bungie being shady or anything. I think it's just a simple, like, figure out a way inside of Eververse to let us know if it's an item in a season that will eventually come up for Bright Dust, or if it's an item that's just to pay for money. I think it's a real simple thing, because then I know, like, okay, if I want that thing, I'm going to spend real money right now. And if I want to just hang out for a little bit, I might be able to get it for Bright Dust. And I'm okay with there being both things. Like I said, I'm been at a point. I mean, I don't know that I ever haven't been, but especially right now that I'll throw some money Bungie's way with what we're getting in this game. I mean, last year, $35 for all that seasonal content we got. And then this year it's $10 a la carte per season. I mean, it's a lot of content. So spending a little money in Eververse is definitely something I'm down to do. But I do agree though, like letting us know which is always going to be money and which is going to be Bright Dust. Not even from a perspective of wanting to collect everything, just so I know I can make a decision right then if I want to get it, you know, if it's something cool and it's never going to come up for Bright Dust. I'm fine with that. It's a seasonal item that it'll just be for sale for silver. But I don't know. I get the point, and I definitely see where you're coming from too. Like I said, we've always been on the same page with Eververse. It doesn't really bother us. I don't ever feel like I have to spend money at Eververse. I've never felt like that. Anyways,
I think even the overhauls to their Bright Dust system, like, if you do the bounties,
I love that, dude. And then redo the bounties. Like, it's huge. The fact that they let us. They've added the redoing of bounties to get Bright Dust. You can just set and farm Bright Dust. Granted, you know, it's not a ton, but just to even be in the game that's a cool thing. That's something they didn't necessarily have to add. So it's just, you know, it's creating a good relationship with the community. So again, this is something I just think's a UI thing and versus, you know, failing to put it into the game. But
I would tend to agree with that. But even then, like, you know, I like I said, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's not a deal breaker.
If this is the biggest thing to complain about, Destiny is in a pretty freaking great spot.
Yeah,
so
I know.
That's kind of where I'm at.
I saw my Twitter feed today. Somebody post like, I'm tired of seeing all the negative comments about Destiny. Like, just take a break from the game. And I found it interesting because I'm not seeing any of that on my feed, and maybe it's because I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'm not following people that are thinking that, but I looked at the replies and everybody was like, the game's great. I have really nothing to say about it right now. It was interesting to see all those comments. There was a lot of comments that were basically saying that same thing. And it seems like a lot of people are on that page right now.
Well, I mean, there's always going to be complaints, and there's always going to be things that can be improved. Right. And like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't, or that they can't add some level of more transparency, or they probably will, you know, they're good about responding to that stuff.
That's a big deal. What you just said there is, even if something's broken right now or needs to be tweaked, they're talking to us, and that goes a long way, even if something's broken. Yeah.
Look, we've known some dark days. This game has had some dark days. You know, there have been times where the community was legitimately upset about a lot, like, and everyone was like fuming, you know, like, things are really good right now. And there's always going to be complaints. There's always going to be things that need to be fixed. There's always going to be things that they need to put another design pass on, you know?
Yeah. Let me tell you, I mean, when I'm playing in the Crucible, multiple times in Iron Banner this week, and I run up to 1v1 gunfight another Guardian, and they spam their super to get one kill. And 6v6 feels like mayhem to me because I'm so used to 3v3s over the years. Like, I have that moment where I'm like, oh yeah, of course you have your super again. But it's done at that point, you know, and I spawn again and I start playing the game. But, you know, there's been a handful of things, like you said, even for me. I think I've mentioned a couple times about like the Solstice set and not having at least one set of glows without having to buy them. But, you know, at this point, none of that stuff is make or break. That's just playing the game a lot and, you know, analyzing it and your perspective on it. But yeah, wow. I mean, the game is, it's a lot of fun right now. Can you imagine coming into the game right now? You'd have a lot to figure out, but can you imagine coming into this game right now and everything that you would have to explore that would be brand new to you? It would be quite an experience. Cause I mean, it's an experience for us having played it for years now. So, I'm sure some things are pretty confusing.
I'm sure.
Man,
I mean, there's just one of the things I think that's good. I mean, I had to Google some things today when I was trying to do. I had what do they call those things? The moon weapon quests.
The essence.
Yeah, so I had that for the fusion rifle,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to find the unhallowed essence of something or other, you know. And so I looked it up on Google, and like that's the kind of thing where I like that they're still putting stuff like that in it because Destiny's always had like this kind of this little bit of mystery and this edge of like, if you want to figure it out, you got to Google it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or talk to somebody who knows, you know?
Right.
And I like that they are not shaving all that off because they kind of did that for D2 for base. And I like that they're continuing to feed that in there, and they're making some stuff accessible and some stuff understandable, but by and large, like there's still going to be things out there that you're going to have to look up.
Right.
And that's part of the draw, you know, of the community and being able to help each other out. So
yeah, it is for sure. No,
it's good.
You're definitely spot on with that. It's always been part of the game. So, well, okay, that's the news, Guardians. we threw in that Eververse discussion.
Hour and 15 minutes in, news is done.
Hour 15, yeah, but it seems to be the way it goes these days. Well, with that said, you're the guest, Joe, so I got to ask you, how was your reset, buddy?
Oh, well, my reset was wonderful. I'm just a little baby hunter sitting at 919 power.
Hey, that works.
I'm still working my way through things. So,
you know, you just reminded me of something. So I have to say this so we don't forget. They already have a little booster out there to boost your character to 900. I was going to say, because 919's respectable, man. I just hit that last weekend, so don't downplay that too much. But you just made me think of that 900 boosters. It's kind of interesting to see that out there already. But sorry, go ahead. 919. What else you been up to?
So I mentioned this before, I tried that hero level nightmare hunt, and I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I just kind of jumped in because I was like, this won't be that hard.
I haven't done one yet. Yeah.
It's cool. I like it. So I know that I was seeing, I forget who it was, whether it was James Work or Dado or somebody was talking about how like the higher difficulty ones, like the nightmare hunts, like top tier difficulty is like really, really hard. And the nightfall stuff is like extremely difficult. So it's cool that they're doing that. And even with the just slight bump to the difficulty, I like the way they're doing it. And it gets into that whole, the unstoppable, the barrier, and whatever the other category was. I like that stuff. That's like RPG stuff that fits so well in the way that they're doing things. And it doesn't diminish that it's a shooter, you know? Because sometimes, like, and I talked to you about this before, like, I started playing Borderlands 3, right? And one of the things about Borderlands games is that they are like RPGs first, but you're kind of shooting too. And the shooting is not really that great. Like, it's not a shooter first. It's an RPG experience, you know? And that's got a lot of benefits. You know, you do all kinds of really crazy cool stuff that you can't do in Destiny and Borderlands. But the thing about Destiny that is so cool is that it has those RPG elements, but it's a shooter, like through and through. And it's buttery smooth. And it's just an incredible experience to have the guns. It's so tactile. And you don't really get that anywhere else. And so it's cool that they're trying some of this RPG stuff without pulling it away from being this very tactile shooter that feels so hands-on and so visceral, right? And I think the way they're going about this is really cool. And so obviously I'm just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
So many of you are probably looking at it saying, yeah, Joe, we know. We're like 10 levels beyond you. But I like what I'm seeing. And the armor mods look cool. The build stuff looks cool. And I'm just having a good time with it. So my resets mostly are
power
other games like, and then just power leveling whenever I get the chance to actually sit down and play Destiny. So
yeah,
that's what I've been up to.
Very cool. Yeah. No, it's a fun time in the beginning of the season right now. I always have this like laser focus to get max power. And then which probably is normal, but I do that stuff week in and week out. And then once I hit that, I feel like I can start focusing on other things. Again, probably a somewhat normal perspective for a lot of Guardians, but that's what I've been up to. I've just been doing the powerful stuff. I'm trying to do it at this point. I don't even know what order to do it in. I just do the tiers and whatever, and do the flashpoint, that kind of thing. And then I did actually part of this reset was Iron Banner, and I gotta say this Iron Banner, I was more excited about it than I have been in a while. One, because of the pinnacle gear they said we were going to get, which I'm setting on all 4 of those bounties and haven't popped them yet because I want to do all my powerful stuff. I haven't finished like the Vex Offensive and stuff. And then once I do all that, I'll pop those and try to max out my power as much as I can. I think I mentioned earlier, I'm sitting at right at 936. And,
good.
Yeah. So I haven't even, it's interesting, the Iron Banner aspect. I know you haven't had really a chance to jump into Iron Banner yet, but I kind of casually, I didn't play much this week. I'm still like crashing early for some reason most nights, but I did fit in like a couple play sessions for a few hours. And just in that playtime, I was able to finish the quest, get all the armor, which the armor looks so pretty this season. And I was able to finish the 4 bounties, and it actually let me pick up another bounty. I don't know if I think they maybe mentioned something about a bounty bug or something. But so I'm setting, I finished that, got some powerful gear, the full set, and then I'm setting on the 4 pinnacle bounties. And I like that it didn't take as long. I didn't think the quest was going to be that quick. I don't know if there's something I'm missing and there's another layer to it in the next Iron Banner, but it was progressing things into the next step before you were at that step. I don't know if it was
nice.
Yeah,
that's good.
What I couldn't tell though is if it was just adding, like it would have you collect or capture points each step, and then when it would go to the next step, it would say you've captured 30 of 40. So I don't know if it was just like continuing and adding. I wasn't looking at it that close, but I just kept going to it, and I'm like, oh, okay, all I need to do really is get SMG kills now. Oh, okay, all I need to do is get fusion rifle kills, a couple capture points, and then boom. And I finished it off today just with some casual, pretty much all solo play here and there this week. So that was nice. That was fun. I'm enjoying Iron Banner. It was nice to be excited to get back into Iron Banner. It's been a little bit. I don't know if it was the coolness of the armor. I'm sure it was the pinnacle rewards. I'm sure at the beginning of a season, you're probably a little bit more apt to jump in Iron Banner for that powerful stuff. But it was a good time. Very fun. But like I said, this season so far has been Crucible heavy. I think I mentioned it last week. I am almost about to finish off Mountaintop. I decided I'm going to do my 5 resets this season and get my Redrick's broadsword. I still don't have that, so I haven't finished that badge. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this stuff last week, but I'm basically aligning everything with the Crucible this season. I'm making sure I'm getting those pulse rifle kills, which I just finished that step. I'm getting the resets. I'm running comp, to get more percentage for my Mountaintop, because I think that's one of the few pinnacle weapons I haven't gotten on the Crucible side. Mm-hmm. And then I am going to shoot. One either. I'm going to shoot for Not Forgotten as well this season.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was at 4,000 last reset, and I played some solo and ran into some rough games, and I think I'm back down to 35 or so, maybe a little less. But I'm going to play with my team and try to hit 55 and get that Not Forgotten this season. But
very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's been Crucible heavy with Iron Banner up and stuff like that. I didn't even realize I had the Masterwork on with it, but Don't yell at me too much, Guardians. I've been using the colony because I've been trying to knock out my mountaintop, and you get so much percentage on that in competitive. And apparently I finished my masterwork for it, so hopefully that doesn't mean I've been using it too much. I have learned how to use the thing. Not that there's much of a learning curve, but you do get better with it, even though those things track. So
yeah, no, it's definitely there's an art to it. I've not figured out this art, but there is an art to it.
Well, I want mountaintop so bad because back in the day before they nerfed it, Flash and Thunder, I have a video out on my YouTube channel. I can't remember if I mentioned this last week, but I got on point with that thing. Terry and I did. It was just impact kills. It wasn't even, and then we would ricochet it. And I know mountaintop doesn't have like it's a direct shot, but it's a one-shot kill. It's those same exact type of grenade launchers, and I want the thing so bad to use in the Crucible. So I'm determined to get it. So I've kind of like aligned all my Crucible goals. So yeah, I mean, as far as Destiny goes, that's what I've been up to. I'm going to continue that for the rest of the reset, and played some other stuff this week too. I did get Moonlighter. Been playing that. That game is a blast. That's a cool game, especially for the Switch.
That.
Yeah, it's
really
neat,
want to
man.
try it.
It's like a mix of Zelda and Stardew Valley, which I've played some of, and it's just neat. You go in the dungeons, do the thing, and you learn like what is dropping from the enemies, and you take it back to your shop and sell it, but you don't want to sell too much. It's just it's a fun little game. It's not really little.
Procedurally generated.
The dungeons, I believe so are. Yeah. Like they are to a certain extent whenever you, I think they are, as far as, I'm pretty sure I read that or saw it in a video, but I'm like scratching the surface. I've made it to like the second level of one dungeon. Only been playing it for a week, but it's neat. It's a fun game. Like upgraded my town a little bit, got a blacksmith now and some other vendor, I think. You sell stuff and then you can buy them and have, their shops and have them come to your town. So it's a neat game. But yeah, I've been playing that, still playing Minecraft with my kiddo. Today we were watching a YouTube video, and we've seen this before, but like I mentioned to you before the show, we're always playing trucks and stuff out in the dirt and stuff like that. And we watched another video today of Farming Simulator. And I'll tell you what, man, I've never played Farming Simulator, but today we were like, let's see how much it is. And we found on Xbox Live, if you're Games with Gold member, Game Pass, whatever it is, I'm still a member of that right now.
If you're Game Pass, I think it's free.
Well, it actually, I don't know if it was, maybe I missed, maybe we need to go look even at a newer one, but this was Farming Simulator 17, which is 2017, I'm assuming. It was $7.49. I'm sure that game was $60 a couple years ago. So we're like, why not? So we get it, and we played it like all afternoon. It's a blast, man, especially with your kiddo. We're like harvesting some crops. We bought a Mustang, we put it on a trailer and took it back to our farm. It's super fun to experience video. I've been playing video games my whole life, and it's always been fun with my friends, my wife, this or that. It's always a good time. But it's so fun too with your kid. Like my kid's, he has been for a while, but at that age, my daughter's, still younger too. Just experiencing like anything else you do in life, experiencing it with your kid. And we played Farming Simulator today, and something happened in the game today. And I was in tears. We were just cracking up, man. And it's just on another level. We can't wait to play it some more tomorrow. Anyways.
Oh my goodness. That's
yeah,
hilarious.
dude, because my kiddo's getting me to play other stuff, as much as I love Destiny, it's fun to sit down and play other games. And Lego Worlds is snuck in there, I've mentioned before. So anyways, that's been my reset, our reset. You got to play Moonlighter, man. You'll like it. I think we've known each other long enough. Pass, I know you're going to like it. Yeah.
I downloaded it. I just haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Yeah. And I can recommend Farming Simulator. It's fun. Anyways, cool, dude. Anything else this reset? Anything you've been doing? That's about it. Hanging out with the family.
That's a lot of family time.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, there's our reset. You guys can always let us know what you're up to too. Tweet at us at Destiny Reset or email us at destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com. You can also do that for this next section, Dirt Fam Discourse, of course, but we don't have any this week. We've got some emails. We get a lot of emails from you guys. Some of them are just, chatting with us individually, and some of them are for the show. And what we're looking for right now is some Shadowkeep stuff. We've asked you guys for a couple weeks. Send us your Shadowkeep feedback, what you're doing, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy. All is welcome. Let us know how your experience has been with Shadowkeep and the Season of the Undying, of course. And like I just mentioned, you can tweet at us. We'll throw some tweets on the show at Destiny Reset if email's not your thing. You can email us, longer form, at destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com. And then you can leave us a speak pipe. It's speakpipe.com/Destiny Reset. And that's like a 90-second voicemail you can leave us, basically. And we will feature it on the show and answer a question, and or if you want to give a shout out, anything like that. That's always welcome also. You guys have probably heard it before. If you want to give a shout out to your fire team, or a cool thing that happened in the game or with the community, or a nice thing someone did, don't hesitate to send that our way as well. We would be happy to feature it on the show. So with that said, moving right along, DurFam patron shout-outs. Joe, do you want to take the honors for our new patron this week?
Yeah, thank you, Zero Uno.
There you have it.
You are the new patron of the week.
Zero's been around.
Thank you so much for your support, man. It's great to help us just to keep going and continue to make this show. And so we appreciate so much all of our patrons and all those that are supporting us. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah, man, there's so many now. We tweeted out a while back all the patrons on the website, and it's grown even since then. So it means a lot to us when we get that email comes across and says we got a new patron. It's not something we take lightly. We really appreciate you doing that, taking the time to do it, and it means a lot. Yeah, Zero's been around for a while, and it's very nice of you to do that and support the show and support the community. It's like I said, always means a lot.
And if you want to support us and you want to join up with Zero as part of that, you can go to patreon.com/Destiny Reset, and we'll give you a shout out on the podcast for your support. Gamertag will be posted on our website, and our eternal gratitude as well. That is also a reward for that. So we also have a special channel just for those patrons and supporters. Just an opportunity once again. Just to thank you for just the support that you give us. So
yep.
If you're interested in being a part of that, check out patreon.com/Destiny Reset, and that'll send you where you need to be.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much. Man, I felt like we talked a lot, but the end of the show got here quick. Joe, where can people find you if they're not hearing you on the show?
Just look for me on Discord, on our Destiny Reset Discord server, and I'll be on Xbox, Joe the Mieden, Mieden. That's where I'll be playing probably once or twice a week. So, yes. Yeah.
Very cool. You're playing at random times, like I talk about that I play at?
Random times.
Yeah. I mean, even the other night I got back up. I fell asleep early, like I said I've been doing. I got back up at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning, and I played till like 3:30ish. Because I hadn't really played much yet this week.
Yeah,
and then
I've done that before.
Fell asleep again.
I've been there. I've done that before.
Yeah, it's part of it. It's all a good time. You guys can find me on Twitter and YouTube at AER0KNIGHT with a 0. You can find us, of course, at Destiny Reset on Twitter. You can find us on the interwebs at DestinyResetPodcast.com. www. Of course. And we use that website as a hub. We got Facebook link on there, YouTube, Bungie.net group, which is kind of interesting these days. You can always join the Bungie.net group, but that'll link you pretty much straight to Discord. And of course, email, we've already mentioned, DestinyResetPodcast@gmail.com. You can always send us something there. And speaking of support and all of that good stuff, even if you're not a patron, patrons are fantastic, but anyone who downloads the show and or leaves us a review, any of that means a lot to us. That's supporting the show, of course, in a different way, in and of its own way. So we really appreciate that. We did get several reviews this week. We got a funny one And I tweeted out, I didn't call you out, but I tweeted you out just because I thought it was funny. If you're listening to the show, you gave us 2 out of 5 because we were eating snacks on the last episode. If you happen to listen to this episode, I just want you to know, I know eating snacks can be annoying on a podcast, but we did it on purpose. I think we even mentioned such because we wanted to eat moon pies for the launch of Shadow Keep. So we totally understand how that can drive you nuts in your headphones or in your car, but it's not something we do often. So we'd love if you'd listen to the show again. But with that said, we got 3 more reviews in addition to that. We got 3 5 out of 5s. Joe, do you want to take the honors on the
Sure. Blitzkrieg 311, Tevis, and Nash Adrius. Thanks for your reviews. And once again, any way that you guys can support the show, either by sharing it with your friends or just jumping in and being a part of the community. We've got a great community, and would encourage you, if you're not in our Discord, join up there. Lots of great friendly Guardians just looking for a good time playing Destiny together. And we just hope that you enjoy what we do here, and that you'd be a part of it at whatever level you'd like. And as a guy who's been here for a long time, I'm so thankful for what Arrow and Cyborg put together every week, and the community they've helped to organize. And it's a great place to be.
You've helped do it, buddy. You've helped organize it since the beginning. So yeah, it's awesome. The show's just like, I don't even know if I'd say the first half of it. It's, if you take the leap into the Discord, which we try not to push on people too much because, some people just aren't into the socials of the communities and stuff. We totally understand. We always
it's not for
encourage.
Everybody, but it is for most people.
You can lurk. You don't have to say anything, but just know, if you ever feel like it, there's a Discord, DurfFam Discord at Destiny. Well, it's actually discord.gg/Destiny Reset. If you want to jump in there, there's a lot of cool Guardians. We've got a lot of people that are joining. Welcome. I think we said last week, welcome to all the new members of the community. A lot of people probably coming on with new light and stuff, but any Guardians, welcome. And if you're looking for, like Joe said, some like-minded Guardians to just have fun and play the game and have some fun conversations, the Derp Fam, you've made it to the show. So think about joining the Discord and chiming in and having a good time. So spot on with that, Joe. Thanks again for joining me, man. Cyborg will be back next week. I'm sure he wanted to be on this week, but he had some family fun this weekend, like I mentioned. So we'll be back.
It's great to be here. Yeah, really appreciate you having me on, and it's always good to get a chance to talk about our favorite game.
Yeah, always welcome, man. Of course, Guardians, of course. Until next reset, have fun playing Destiny 2, and take care, Guardians.